Not everyone in the video game community is fully sold on virtual reality, mainly due to issues like nausea, the need for ample space, or games not matching the quality of those on consoles and PC. While it hasn't won everyone over, there are phenomenal experiences that can only be had via VR. One of the most successful VR headsets is the Quest line, which was originally known as Oculus Quest. There are several Quest headsets on the market today, from the Quest 3 to the budget-friendly Quest 3S. Players will have a much better experience with Quest headsets if they choose the right games to play. Some titles, like the Vader Immortal games or Assassin's Creed Nexus, can transport players to their favorite worlds and make them feel like they're really there. Anyone looking to get into VR should give these Quest games a try. Outside of Telltale's award-winning The Walking Dead series, Saints and Sinners is the best game in the Walking Dead franchise. Set in the walker-infested ruins of New Orleans, this title puts players in the role of the mysterious tourist who becomes entangled in a brutal conflict between survivor groups that are both vying for control of a hidden supply vault. The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners delivers some of the most substantial and immersive combat on any VR platform, let alone the MetaQuest. Every encounter feels visceral, and players are forced to physically wrench knives or screwdrivers from the skulls of attacking walkers. It's a tense experience from start to finish, and it's a title that every horror game fan should check out. An Assassin's Creed game for a virtual reality platform like the MetaQuest makes a lot of sense, considering the Animus, a device that lets users relive the past through DNA, is essentially a form of virtual reality itself. What began as a parkour-focused RPG adventure set in the Crusades and Renaissance has since evolved into an open-world RPG series with massive maps, as seen in Origins and Valhalla. However, in a move that brings the series back to its roots, Assassin's Creed Nexus VR focuses on immersive historical exploration and, of course, parkour. The storyline is more in line with the series' early days, featuring longtime characters Sean Hastings and Rebecca Crane recruiting a hacker to infiltrate Abstergo's latest project, Nexus I. The hacker must navigate the memories of legendary assassins while planting logic bombs in Abstergo's data cores to corrupt their findings. This adventure allows players to experience new missions through the eyes of some of the best Assassin's Creed protagonists, like Cassandra of Sparta, Connor Kenway, and the iconic Ezio Auditore da Firenze. Fans of the tabletop-turned video game series Vampire the Masquerade have been waiting for the sequel to Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines for a long time. However, despite its announcement and gameplay reveals, news about the sequel has gone darker than the inside of Dracula's coffin. In the meantime, players can enjoy VTM's foray into virtual reality, which makes the world of Vampire feel real. Like most VR games, Vampire the Masquerade Justice places players directly into the undead body of a vampire as they stalk the streets and canals of Venice. The game returns to the series' roots that's packed with RPG elements players can sink their fangs into. Stealth is the primary focus in Justice, with most upgradable abilities centered around moving undetected or using a crossbow to silently eliminate criminals from a distance. What game is more beloved and deserving of a VR port than the original Resident Evil 4? This classic puts players in the cool leather jacket of former Raccoon City Police Department rookie turned special agent Leon S. Kennedy as he heads out on a mission to rescue Ashley Graham, the president's daughter, from a remote European village. The VR version brings players face-to-face with the game's many horrifying enemies. The added sense of scale in VR makes towering bosses like Verdugo and El Gigante feel even more imposing. Not only does this version let fans see Resident Evil 4's iconic locations from a new perspective, but it also includes content that was cut from the recent remake. Resident Evil 4 VR also introduces some new mechanics, like manually reloading weapons and managing inventory in real time. The Medal of Honor series has delivered some fantastic games, but has seemingly gone dormant as a franchise. The most recent console entry, Medal of Honor Warfighter, was released in 2012, and it took another 8 years for the next installment to arrive. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond brings the series into virtual reality, immersing players in the role of an OSS agent during World War II. It takes players through a variety of operations, from the beaches of Normandy to the French countryside and German fortresses. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond's narrative gradually unfolds through cinematic cutscenes and dynamic in-game events that were clearly designed with VR in mind. The gameplay is a nice mix of stealth, combat, and sabotage missions, along with a few dramatic set pieces that capture the chaos and intensity of war. While Above and Beyond wasn't originally intended to be a VR game, it's perfect for the MetaQuest. While hitmen are members of an immoral profession, it's hard to deny the appeal of Agent 47's abilities. Who doesn't want exceptional hand-to-hand combat skills or the endurance to hang off ledges indefinitely? Hitman 3 VR lets players experience the latest entry in the Hitman reboot series in virtual reality. The missions are the same as they are in the original game, and players with the Access Pass can also enjoy levels from the first two Hitman games. Hitman has always been known for detailed worlds, and in VR these features are absolutely mind-blowing to behold. The gameplay really emphasizes the kind of physicality that makes VR games so engaging. Everything from dragging bodies to firing weapons or throwing objects as distractions feels genuinely impactful. Hitman 3 VR is the perfect sandbox for anyone who wants to pretend to be a deadly assassin. Blade and Sorcery is the gold standard for virtual reality games, setting the bar for immersion and interactivity. No other game on this list offers the same level of freedom in combat and exploration. A recent major update for Blade and Sorcery officially completed the game, adding more weapons, armor, and a full story mode that lets players create their own character. The choices in Blade and Sorcery are nearly endless. Players can wield magic, unleashing gravity bursts, fireballs, lightning, and even time-slowing abilities. The arsenal is vast and essentially anything that can be picked up and used as a weapon. It even manages to redefine an old saying: in the right hands, a ceramic vase can be mightier than the sword. With towering titans to battle and numerous factions to challenge, Blade and Sorcery remains one of the most ambitious and thrilling experiences in VR gaming. One of the newest games to arrive on the MetaQuest is a fresh entry in the ever-popular Metro series. Metro Awakening serves as a prequel to Metro 33, shifting the focus from the usual silent protagonist, Artyom, to the fully voiced character of Serdar. Once a doctor before the bombs fell, Serdar must brave the treacherous Moscow tunnel system in search of his wife. Fans of the series will recognize Serdar as none other than Khan, the mystical stalker and tunnel wanderer from previous games, making this prequel his origin story. Written by Metro's original author Dmitry Glukhovsky, the game tells a deeply personal and emotional story set in 2028 as Serdar is pushed to his limits both physically and mentally on his journey to save his wife and awaken his supernatural abilities. Combat in Metro Awakening is slightly slower than it was in previous entries, which reflects Serdar's lack of formal training compared to other characters in the series. Onward is the most realistic and authentic military tactical shooter on VR platforms, so it's no wonder that it's built a dedicated fanbase. The game's main selling point is its realism. Everything in Onward feels authentic, from its weapons to its physics. That authenticity extends to damage output and input, which allows for realistic aiming without aim assist. While there's no traditional story mode on the MetaQuest version of Onward, it still offers plenty of gameplay options. The shooting range is the ideal first stop for newcomers to get a feel for each weapon. Multiplayer includes traditional team deathmatch, extraction, and sabotage modes, along with co-op hunt and co-op evac, where up to 4 players face AI enemies. One of the most interesting additions is Mercenary Mode, where up to 4 real players take on increasingly difficult AI opponents. Vader is a brilliant Star Wars story brought to life in virtual reality. Players take on the role of the captain of a salvage/smuggling ship that is abruptly pulled out of hyperspace into Mustafa's orbit. For Star Wars fans, Mustafar is a planet of deep significance. It's a nexus for the dark side of the Force, the setting of the legendary duel between Obi-Wan Kenobi and the fallen Anakin Skywalker, and the location of Darth Vader's imposing fortress. And this trilogy of games expands on Mustafa's history, revealing how it transformed from a lush green oasis into a hellish lava world. In true Star Wars fashion, the protagonist of Vader Immortal turns out to be a descendant of the Korvax bloodline, which grants them the ability to wield a unique lightsaber and command a legion of droids, known as the Marching Horde. True to its name, the game also features Darth Vader, who is seeking an artifact that can only be used by someone of Corvus lineage. It has everything fans could want in a Star Wars VR game, from thrilling lightsaber combat to simple yet satisfying Force abilities.